In one terrified sprint into the woods, Maggie's life changed, and the 2-for-a-mile story of her courage began. Maggie, the collie mix, had always lived on the Johnsons' quiet countryside farm, a place where the world felt soft and gentle. Every sunrise painted gold across the fields she loved to run through. Every evening, she curled under the wooden porch beside the people who adored her. She lived for days just like this. Open space, new scents, and the people she loved close enough to touch with her nose. Until the day it wasn't. On an early autumn morning, the Johnsons' farm was turned inside out. Boxes piled in every corner, doors left open, strangers carrying furniture, voices echoing through empty rooms. The family was moving. Maggie didn't understand what was happening, only that her world suddenly felt unstable. Her ears twitched at every thud and slam, her tail tucked tightly underneath her as she paced nervously around the yard. Then it happened. A moving truck backfired a sharp, violent explosion of sound. Maggie jumped, terrified, and bolted. She sprinted across the yard, through the tall grass, and deep into the woods. Branches scratched her sides, leaves tangled in her fur, but she ran until the sound was gone. And then she ran farther still. Back at the house, the Johnsons realized she was missing. Panic spread quickly. Maggie! Maggie! The kids shouted until their voices cracked. They searched for hours until nightfall, and even left food out. They drove slowly around the property calling her name. They told neighbors and checked ditches and barns, but she was gone. The next morning, with their moving deadline closing in, the Johnsons faced the hardest moment of their lives leaving without her. Mrs. Johnson promised through tears, "We'll come back for her. We'll never stop trying." They drove away, completely heartbroken. But unseen, from deep inside the woods, Maggie watched the car moving farther and farther away, and she made a decision. She would follow. Maggie emerged from the trees hours after the car had disappeared, her nose low to the ground, tracking the fading scent of the only people she had ever loved. Imagine being lost, hundreds of miles from everything you've ever known. This is Maggie's story. A journey that began on dusty backroads, leading her through landscapes she'd never seen. For the first few days, she relied purely on instinct, drinking from creeks and sniffing out scraps near farms. But soon, the world turned harsh. Cold autumn rain soaked her thin fur, and fierce winds whipped across the empty fields. The nights were the worst. Maggie would curl into a tight ball beneath a bush, shivering as the temperature plummeted. She crossed an icy river that numbed her legs and trekked through thorny brush that tore at her coat. Yet, every single morning, she pushed herself up and kept moving forward, driven by something she couldn't explain. As weeks turned into a month, people started to notice the determined dog walking alone. A truck driver saw her on a long stretch of highway. A gas station clerk tried to offer her food, but Maggie kept her distance, even as hunger gnawed at her belly and exhaustion weighed down her every step. She followed an invisible trail, the faint, almost forgotten scent of her family. Her journey was filled with danger. She narrowly avoided being hit by a truck on a blind corner and was once chased by a pack of wild dogs. At one point, she slipped down a wet embankment, injuring her leg so badly she could barely walk. But she limped on. Every painful step was fueled by the memory of warm laps, belly rubs, and the familiar smell of home. Her paws grew raw and her fur became a tangled mess. She was thinner, weaker, but her spirit never broke. Finally, after weeks on the road, she reached the outskirts of a new city, a confusing maze of sounds and smells. But through all the chaos, a familiar scent drifted on the breeze. It was them, her family. Her tail gave a weak lift. Her pace quickened. She followed the scent through strange neighborhoods, across busy intersections, and up winding streets until she arrived at a small, quiet house. Her legs were trembling, her body completely spent, but she managed to climb the porch steps and give a gentle scratch at the door. When the door opened, her family couldn't believe their eyes. There stood Maggie, the dog they thought they had lost forever. The children screamed with joy and rushed to hug her. Maggie tried to wag her tail, but simply collapsed into their arms. Overwhelmed with relief, they wrapped her in blankets, gave her warm food, and cried as the vet later explained just how remarkable her 2-for-a-mile journey had been. Maggie's story is more than just an incredible journey. It's a powerful testament to the unbreakable bond between an animal and the family they choose. A bond stronger than any road, any storm, or any distance. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more amazing stories.